Hello friends and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in multiple transformers in this case. Getting back into the Combiner shtick for at least a little while. Today it is all about Combiner Wars Computron. Well, no, that's not true. This is not actually for Computron. If you want to check out Computron, I will add a link down below or possibly up here somewhere, where you can check out the Computron-specific video. This is actually just covering the Technobots team, because I didn't want to do like a giant 3-hour video. So, yes, today we're taking a look at the Combiner Wars Technobots, specifically from the Computron box set. And we have Scattershot, Strafe, Nosecone, I think this one's Afterburner, and this one's Lightspeed. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And then Scrounge, and I think this little guy is called Cybex. Yeah. So here we have all 7, technically, Technobots. And we are going to start looking at them one by one. I'm not going to get, not going to get too long with it, but we're going to take a look at each of these 7 in relative order. So, first off. Okay, and first off we have... No. 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 Not talking about you yet. Get out of here. It's better. So, starting with Strafe. As I'm sure everyone is aware, even if you're not aware, you're aware, Strafe is a remold of a couple of the different aerial bot designs from Superion, and I think they've also been used in a few other combiners, I'm not entirely sure. He is very much a spaceship thing. Not a bad design. I actually kind of dig the overall silhouette of the vehicle mode. I like the slightly forward swept wings. I like the little mini wings up front. I like the big orange guns, which are sort of, as I understand it, a staple of Strafe's design. And yeah, the gray, the red, and the orange, not a bad color combination. Not a bad color distribution. I kind of like that they just went with like a flat black for the cockpit there. Although, I'm not entirely sure why Strafe needs a cockpit, but regardless, not bad looking. Some decent, little bit of silver detail in there, and the Autobot logos, of course, on the wings, and some decent molded details in there as well. I mean, nothing in Combiner Wars really compares to the level of molded detail that came in, that's coming in Titan's Return, but not bad. The problem with him is, you know, from this angle, he's just obviously a little cramped up robot. And yeah, you do get the hands, like the visible arms that you can even kind of see from here, which is a shame. But overall, it's not a bad looking spaceship. You know, it's not bad. I do have some issues with him when it comes to combined mode, but we're not talking about that right now. So yeah, not a bad looking ship. Not bad at all. Almost looks like a little bit of like a Star Wars-y Battlestar Galactica, original Battlestar Galactica kind of feel to it. And I'm okay with that. Okay, moving on. And from one arm to another, we have... No! No! We have Afterburner. I believe. I hope I'm right. So yeah, Afterburner. He is, as I understand it, a remold of the deluxe groove that they came out with. I don't own Combiner Wars or Unite Warriors Defensor. I don't care to, because I have Guardia, and Guardia is hard to show from this angle, but freaking awesome. So no Defensor for me, therefore no deluxe groove for me. So this is the first time I've messed around with this mold, and he looks pretty good, I have to say. Now, I will have to mention that I am going to be including accessories in this particular case because a lot of these accessories are actually necessary for combine mode. And even though combine mode is going to be in a separate video, I still want to make sure that I cover everything. And I also actually rather like Afterburner's accessories here because, like, by lining them up this way, they actually kind of work as tailpipes. And I think those work a lot better as tailpipes than as rifles attached to the side of the bike. So I'm going to leave them there. I like them. Anyway, the overall bike design is not bad. It seems kind of weird to have this big green translucent canopy thing when there's no way anything could possibly fit in there, and you just have the handlebars sticking out of the sides. But, whatever. It looks futuristic. And yeah, it's not bad. Nice size. You got the hand sticking out there, but from, it doesn't immediately read as hands from, like, if you're looking at it from the side. And turny wheel. Yay. Yay for turny wheels. Yeah, I don't know. Not much I can say. He's basically like the motorcycle from Akira, only orange, white, and a little bit of red. I like the shape. I like the design. I like the color. He's not a bad bike. And it's funny that I didn't realize until I messed with him a little bit more, but a lot of pieces on him lock down really well. Like this canopy actually locks down in here and stuff like that. It's nice. He's pretty solid. Could use a little bit more paint in some places. Like there's just, solid blocks of color everywhere. Not a whole lot of individually picked out details, which is a shame because there are some molded ones that could do with a little bit more color variation to just help them stand out, but there is some nice molding in him. And from the underside, he doesn't immediately look like a robot, which is good. So, hooray! So yeah, I think, Afterburner, not a bad robot, or vehicle. Not a bad vehicle. Okay. Let's say we stick with the left side, so yeah. Yeah, gonna stick with the left side. And moving on to Lightspeed, which again I hope is right. Lightspeed is a pretty nice looking car with an incredibly ugly looking accessory sticking off the roof there. And I mean, I've kind of played around with attaching it to the side to make it look like some kind of weird spoiler pipe thing, but it's not a bad gun, but it's like, what do you do with it? It just looks terrible no matter where you put it. Although you could make him look like a slot car. Yeah, it's not a whole lot to do with this that doesn't look terrible. I guess maybe angling it back is no. Anyway, we'll put this off to the side for now. So yeah, Lightspeed. I really like the shape of the car, and I am actually like, yeah, I know we've seen this forever, but I like the mold that Lightspeed is based off of. I actually do really like the transformation. I like the way there's the shape of everything, like the bot and all that. And I think that the vehicle is nice. And I'm always partial to the painted rims, and he does have that, which unfortunately Afterburner does not have. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice little futuristic looking police car thingy. This kind of looks like something that RoboCop would drive if it were bright red. Now, the unfortunate thing about it is, while the shape is pretty cool, there is not a lot of paint. That's just, featureless red with some gray plastic, featureless red with some silver paint on the front, which this is appreciated. I do really like how they picked out these few details in silver here. And again, I do appreciate the silver on the wheels, but it's just like red and gray, and that's just about all you see with this guy, and it's kind of a shame, especially because the red in the center here that's painted over the gray plastic doesn't match. Like, it's not just the lighting, it's an obvious color difference, which is a shame. Nothing deal-breaking, but it's just, I think for me, primarily, like I could deal with this little strip here because that's been a constant problem with this mold. And I could deal with the overall lack of color variation. But what bugs me the most is the fact that these windows are all the exact same color as the rest of the, the canopy or whatever section you want to call it of the car. It's just solid gray. Like, this is the kind of paint job that I would expect from a Happy Meal toy. And that's sad. It's a good looking car, but there just needed to be some paint on these windows, at least on the front, to just kind of set it apart a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too picky, but it just really could have used more color. But again, the actual shape of the car is very nice. I am into that. Now, since Nosecone is being a little brat, we're going to skip over him and move on to the torso guy. Scattershot is... No, come on. What are you... Just for this, you're going dead last. Scattershot. Scattershot, I actually really like his vehicle mode. I mean, yeah, he's a remold of Silverbolt, but he looks good. Like, this is a good-looking vehicle. I like the overall shape of it. I'm okay with the wings. I mean, the gaps are a little bit weird because you've got, like, you just look right through the wing and there's a robot fist. So that's a little strange. And it's kind of like, there's this nicely defined wing shape, but it's kind of undermined by this giant chunk sticking out. So that kind of sucks. But overall, I like the shape. I like the molding on here. I like the colors. It's got this weird kind of futuristic tail fin thing, which is silly. Kind of funny that they had they didn't bother to do any remolding with the rest of the tail fin section, though. But there are some nice molded details in there. And I'm not like totally against this almost, not burgundy, not plum, but it's like a slightly purplish red color that they have for a lot of them. I'm okay with that. But it's really this front section here that sells me. I really like this. It's one of the things that when I was messing around with Scattershot a little while after getting the set, and I transformed him back into vehicle mode, it's just like, this is a really nicely designed front end. And now, yeah, you've got the repainted Superion gun that's just kind of attaches on the bottom. And I think here it actually works a lot better than it does on Superion because it sort of fits in with the shape and the semi-futuristic look of the vehicle a lot better. But pop this off so we can pop it off. So we can take a look at just this front section itself, which again, like, this sells Scattershot to me. Like, I really like the shape of this, the detailing, the futuristic kind of forward swept nose and giant cannon thing. It looks really neat to me. I think it's a shame that it goes from like this really nice red and gray and like slightly blue detailed color palette to like giant purpley block of plastic, and then you can see a little bit more of that red and gray and a little bit of blue in the wings. I feel like it would have been nicer if this color scheme kind of went a little bit further into the body. But yeah, overall, nice looking vehicle. And again, I love this little cockpit section here. The whole thing is really neat looking. Underside is, of course, typical Silverbolt, just folded up robot brick. But it's okay. Does what it needs to do. And yeah, so Scattershot is a pretty nice overall, come on, there we go. Scattershot is a pretty nice overall looking vehicle. I dig him. Dig the colors, dig the shape, even though a lot of it is reminiscent of Silverbolt. It works. Okay, so Scrounge and Cybex. They're yellow. They're very yellow. and obviously repaints of Generations, Cosmos, and Payload. And I'm okay with that because Generations Cosmos is freaking awesome. So, you know, they want to redo him, that's totally fine. Any excuse I can have to own more than one of that mold, I'm totally fine with. First, though, I'm going to take a look at Cybex. He is a teeny tiny space shuttle with very little paint on him. He's just got red windows, and that's it. There's a tiny bit, teeny tiny bit more paint on the underside there, but we'll deal with that in bomb mode. Yeah, this is, I mean, there's some little bit of molded details in there, but, I mean, he's meant to be what equates to a target master, and that much is obvious. There's not a lot of detail that went into this guy. But that's okay, because he's basically a glorified accessory. Sorry, buddy, but that's true. It's just the way it is. Scrounge. I like Scrounge, but there are a couple of issues that I kind of have with this. I don't mind the yellow, which probably looks a little weird under this lighting, but I don't mind the yellow. I kind of like the fact that it's got this almost like pearly kind of quality to the plastic. I like the red bits that have been picked out here. You know, it's not a bad looking ship. It's got all the same molded details as Cosmos. It looks really good. Two things that really bug me though. One, you can see his eyes poking up from inside there no matter how hard you try to push his head down. So that's annoying. Like from this angle you can't really see it, but if you look at him from even slightly over, you can totally see his eyes poking out. And the other thing that bugs me is there's a big old silver serial number on the top side of the vehicle. On the freaking top of the vehicle. This is the mode that, I mean, oh, come on, guys. This is the thing that you're going to see when he's in combined mode. If you have him attached to Strafe as an arm, he's going to be just stuck to the arm as like a shield, and that stupid little serial number is going to be right up front for everybody to see. Like, why did you have to put it there? Seriously, you could have put it on the underside. It would have been just as visible there, but you wouldn't see it in combined mode. Why did you do that? But anyway, yeah, those two gripes aside, he's still a great-looking flying saucer because he's based on Cosmos, and Cosmos is freaking fantastic. Dare I say, perfect for the size figure that he is. So, this is just great. Aside from those two annoying things. I mean, yeah, he could use a little bit more paint because he doesn't have a whole lot on him, but, you know, it's alright. And honestly, this mold is so cool, I wouldn't even care if it had no paint on it. But okay. I think we've made Nosecone suffer long enough. Now, Nosecone. For the longest time, I wanted to give this mold the benefit of the doubt. I saw a lot of people getting down on Brawl, saying that it was just a pretty poorly constructed figure, and I thought, they're just being too picky. I've changed my mind on that, and get into that when we get into robot modes. But Nosecone, as a tank, as a drill tank, is okay. I will say that. I actually am not opposed to this weird kind of backwards look. It almost reminds me of something you'd see in like a Godzilla movie. Like probably the one where they introduced, not like where they introduced Mogira, but the one where, it was one of the 90s Godzilla movies. I forget which one specifically, but they introduced Mogira and he was made up of two parts. One was a drill tank and the other was like a flying bit. And this actually reminds me of Mogira's drill tank bit. Which, you know, make of that what you will. But I kind of like it. I like the goofiness of it and the fact that you've got this just extremely flat front with, like, big old drill sticking out and actually a little bit of a cockpit there, which is nice. I mean, yeah, it's obviously a tank that's facing backwards and doesn't have a gun. And you can kind of kind of totally see robot face there, and I've tried flipping the head around. It will not go into the chest cavity for transformation if the head's flipped around, so I can't really fix it that way. But it is what it is. I mean, you know, the actual molding on here is quite nice, I will say. And there's some, I mean, I do appreciate the fact that they painted the treads. That is nice, because it would have been really crappy if they hadn't. The paint scheme, I'm fine with. You know, I'm okay with the yellow and brown with a little bit of silver. It's not a terrible drill tank. And if you really wanted to, you could just unpeg the... Whoops, I dropped the thing. You could just unpeg the drill tank bit from the back there, and it kind of sits and clamps in here, kind of, sort of. It's difficult to do, but it can. There we go. So yeah, you could, if you really wanted to, set them up like this. Honestly, that looks even goofier to me, because then you have this big old gap in there, and it just looks silly. Like, I kind of like the fact that it's the default look has him with like this big stumpy front end that kind of tapers back the further you go. I don't know, I dig it. Ha, dig, drill tank. Ha, the jokes. So yeah, for as much nonsense as I give Nosecone, the vehicle mode is okay. That's gonna change in a minute. And here we have the whole Technobots family. And they do look good together, I have to admit. Despite how much I freaking hate Nosecone, they do look good together. So, yeah, they're still lacking in paint, which I'll get into with the individual bots. And, you know, there are some issues here and there, but overall, they make a good team. Now, I do have the Hasbro-provided hands and feet for Computron. I will not be talking about these in this video, and have not so far, because they're for Combine mode, and honestly, there's really no good place to store these things in vehicle or robot mode on any of these figures, so not gonna bother with that. However, I do have some other accessories that I will be playing around with these guys. Yes, that is correct. I have the Perfect Effect sets, both for the hands and feet and the torso, and I will be messing around with those. Here we got handguns. Ha, handguns. I'll be messing around with those in a minute. Just wanted to preface this by saying there's no wrong way to display those accessories with these guys, but I will be doing I'll be doing things a certain way, mostly because some of these figures have arms that are way too weak to hold the heavier weapons, so I'm not gonna be messing with those. But you know, we'll just wing it. So first up, right. So here we have Nosecone in his robot mode with the Perfect Effect feet as laser cannons attached to his arms. Normally I prefer to have the big guns like this underslung, but because of the way his hands are designed, they don't really fit there. But he does have ports on his arms that they can clamp onto, which works. So, their cannons themselves, pretty nice looking. Some nice details in there. You know, not a whole lot of paint to them, but they look pretty good overall. However, that's just one possible way you could have them attached. I tend to prefer to try and do, have the limbs that the accessories go to as the ones wielding them, but sometimes that just doesn't work. Again, because some of these figures have really, really weak limbs that just can't quite hold on to everything. So anyway, Nosecone's robot mode. What do I think of Nosecone's robot mode? That's what I think of Nosecone's robot mode. Style-wise, it's fine. Like, the overall look is okay, although I think his arms are way too small for a robot that's supposed to be, like, super chunky and beefy and made up of a tank. Color-wise, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. Again, I have no problem with the brown and the yellow. I like the silver. The weird reddish, purpley, plum kind of color is okay. The yellow and orange for the face is fine. The face itself looks fine. Supposedly it's just Brawl's face, but repainted. It's fine. Problem is, there's nothing really to it. It's orange and yellow. There's not a whole lot of definition to the face as far as the paint goes. I mean, there are some better bits of color definition in the rest of the body. The issues that I have with Nosecone are almost entirely based on his just physicality. I don't like the robot mode. I don't like the look of it, just the overall shape of it. I don't like the silhouette. I don't like... Mechanically, I freaking... just want to... Mechanically, this thing is a pain in the butt. And I've been thinking about replacing him with the Takara version of Nosecone, but I do like the way he looks in Combine mode. I think he does make a good drill tank leg. He just makes a pretty lousy robot. Sorry, Nosecone, but not sorry. Lightspeed, surprise, surprise, I really like. I think this is a cool robot mode. I like the silhouette, I like the colors, I like the color breakup, how you've got a little bit of silver in the legs, and it's like, yeah, he could definitely use more paint. Like, he's got the silver in the legs, a little bit of silver in the chest. Really, the only paint that you see on him in robot mode are shins, shins, chest, wrists, and face. He definitely could use more paint, but I actually like how this lighter gray allows you to see a lot more of the molded details. Which, you know, again, nothing compared to Titan's Return, but the level of molded details, especially like here in the arms, I do think those actually go a long way to making me not care about the lack of color overall in his robot mode. And I do like how you've got a little bit of this red coming in on the arms there. The face looks good. You know? Definitely looks better than Nosecone's. The fact that his eyes are a different color than the rest of his face. The molding is nice. I don't know if this is just a rehashed head from anything or if this is a brand new head, but I do think it looks good regardless. The chest looks good as well. Also not sure if that's a remold or not, but I do like it. And yeah. You know, we've seen this mold a million times as far as I know, but I still really like it. I think it looks good. Now, as far as special accessories go, the problem with Lightspeed is he has incredibly loose ball joints in his shoulders, and because of that, I can't give him the heavier weapons. Like, I would like to give him the big laser cannon accessories, but he can't hold them. So instead, I like to have him dual wielding the perfect effect hand gun things, because they look pretty good. Let's see if we can do some John Woo style, do some action poses with him. Yeah, we totally can. So yeah, I think this works well for Lightspeed. He's not a bad robot. It's just the loose shoulders that bug me, but that's something that I can fix on my own. Just do like the really the cheaper than floor polish trick of just popping them out and whoops. I should keep the robot on camera. Keep the figure on camera, Rob, you dope. There. Yeah. Anyway, I might do just the even cheaper version of the floor polish trick, where instead of putting floor polish in the joints, I just put little bits of paper towel in there. It actually works really well. So anyway, real quick look at the handguns, which I still think is really funny. These look pretty good as guns. I think they actually work a little bit better as guns than the Perfect Effect set that I have for Superion. Just like the overall shape of the fingers, I think, work a little bit better as gun barrels and a sight. And of course, from this angle, it doesn't work quite as well. But yeah, overall, these aren't bad. And Lightspeed, I actually quite enjoy Lightspeed. Because what can I say? I am a fan of this mold in general. And Strafe is bit of an odd duck. He does not have a lot of paint on him, and the paint that he does have doesn't really stand out that much. Honestly, he's just kind of bleh. Like, shape-wise, fine. I like the bulkiness of the torso and the thicker arms and all that. I think, that's fine. I have no problem with the mold. I have no problem with the silhouette of the figure. And of course, he's got the 2 guns sticking up off the top there. That's all fine. But it's just the paint is really lacking on this guy, because the little bits of areas that do have color don't really enhance anything. Like, he's got these little bits of red down here, and then this strange kind of coppery pink color that shines here, and this is like the only time I've seen this color on, like, he's the only figure in the entire set that has that color on him, and it seems really out of place. I don't understand why they did that. And also, he's got these weird orange biceps, which I don't understand. Like, I don't know why those had to be orange. And I mean, it kind of matches the color scheme, because he has an orange crotch and an orange chest from the Combiner thing there, but I still don't know why his biceps had to be orange. And the face. Oh, the face. I think the face looks good, shape-wise. He's got this nice boxy head, some nice details there. I kind of like the harshly angled visor, but the paint kind of sucks. Did the same thing with Nosecone, where it's just a solid color for the head and then a solid color for the face and visor. Like, why couldn't the visor or the face have been a different color? It doesn't stand out. Like, you can't really make out any facial definition when you're looking at him from a distance. And by the same token, there's a lot of molding that gets lost in the chest because of this strange plum burgundy color that I don't dislike. It eats a lot of that detail. I don't know. He's not bad. Strafe is not bad. He's just, there's a lot of little nuanced details to him that get lost because of his kind of shoddy paint scheme. It just, what's painted isn't very interesting. It's not a very interesting color scheme in bot mode. Could have been better. Oh, and he can totally do the giant laser cannon thing. And he looks alright doing that. Yeah, I'll get him equipped up real quick. So I will say, at least Strafe's arms are strong enough to undersling the giant laser cannons and not have them flop around. That does look cool. I like how he looks with the giant cannons. Right, moving on. And here we have Afterburner, and I am of 2 minds of Afterburner. I'm fine with the color scheme. I'm actually kind of into the black and the orange. A little bit on the Halloween-y side for me, but works all right. I like the face. I like the green there and all that. The red kind of blends into the orange a little. Like, it doesn't blend in, but like it's kind of, the shades are a little bit too close for my liking. oddly enough, the thing that I don't really like too much about Afterburner is his overall shape. Like, his chest just seems kind of flat and featureless. His feet don't really... they're not visually interesting to me. Whereas most of the other figures have some nice details in the feet that at least look okay. These are just kind of meh. I mean, I don't know. It's just something about his overall appearance that just doesn't quite do it for me. But otherwise, I think he's a pretty solid figure. I mean, he's got a nice looking head with the, you know, actual difference in color between the eyes and the face. And he has light piping, which is kind of weird because none of the other figures in the set have it. But whatever. But again, like the chest, like he's got these little bits of color here, but then there's nothing else here, and it's just like it's like a plank. There's not really much going on there. And like, I think it's just his torso, like the center mass of his body is just too boxy for my liking. And the legs are okay, but the feet just look kind of uninspired. The arms look good though. I mean, I like this detail on the shoulders. It's like this fun venting piston detail that they have going on here. That is cool. And I like, you know, I like the arms, the forearms. They look pretty good. He's got some nice detail there. He's not a bad bot. He's just too boxy. It makes him look simpler than he actually is. I don't mind the thing hanging off of his back. I really, you know, I'm okay with that. You know, there's not really much you can do with it. It's not the best, but overall I'm fine with the canopy hanging over his head. It's just, I don't know, his flat torso just bugs me. I feel like, you know, a little bit more color in here would help too, because he's just got this black strip going down the middle. And I think a big part of the problem there is the fact that, again, the darker color eats out, it eats up all of the little details. But the shoulders, you can at least make the details out because they're so much more pronounced. Like, you've got these very deep, detailed bits running through the shoulders, whereas all the other dark parts of them, the details are much, much lighter. They're not, you know, etched in as far, so you really lose a lot of that detail. And that's a shame. But yeah, anyway, as I said, not a bad figure. Could be better. Overall, though, I do think he's fine. And I like the transformation. I think he makes a better motorcycle than a robot, though. Okay, Metal Storm is going to be a little tricky because the Perfect Effect accessories don't, like, they kind of work on him, but they don't. So I'm just going to do the Perfect Effect stuff real quick and then move on to just regular bot mode. So here we've got the giant chest thing that kind of becomes a shield clipped to his arm, which looks kind of lame, but there's really nowhere else you can put it. Then we have the enormous rifle that also comes with the chest piece. And I actually found a pretty decent way of getting this on Metal Storm here. I keep saying Metal Storm, Scattershot. I'm sorry, I'm used to having the Make Toys version for Quantron. So anyway, this can peg right back here on his landing gear, which, you know, initially it's kind of like, well, okay, that's stupid because now he's got this giant thing sticking up off of his back. But you can hinge the landing gear forward without actually moving this back part, which allows you to then have this giant cannon over his shoulder, which I actually like the way that looks quite a bit. I think it actually... Angle that up a little more to make sure you can see it. I think that's not a bad look for him. I mean, yeah, it's not, you know, it's not ideal, but it's not really much else you can do other than have him hold it, and it looks absurd because it's so freaking big. So anyway, let's get rid of this Perfect Effect stuff. Get rid of the gun here, which, you know, we'll say. Okay, fine, you take a nap for a second. I will say, it is a nice looking gun on one side. The other side, it is a bit on the hollow side. Not the best thing. But, what can you do? So that's that. And then the shield. We'll actually touch on this more when we get into combine mode, because this is going to be kind of a prominent feature. Anyway, Scattershot. He looks okay. He's like a very purpley and red Silverbolt. I mean, I'm fine with the color scheme. It's a little bit, I don't know, I feel like they probably could have brought a little bit more of this red into the legs to kind of tie everything together. But you do get this same purpley color all throughout the figure. Oddly, you don't get this, like this even more pink color anywhere else on the figure except right here. And also on the accessories if you have him holding the big gun and the little shield bit. But like, that's it. So again, not a ton of color being continued throughout, which is a shame, and it kind of makes it seem like his legs are a bit of an afterthought because there's really no color to them at all. It's just all that slightly darker purple plastic and then the pink on the sides, at least in robot mode. Nice details, but you know, those are typical. It's all Silverbolt stuff, really. And unfortunately, the Autobot logo on my Scattershot chest got fudged, which stinks. Nice blue, though. That is a nice shade of blue. I like that blue. And again, it's all the same details as Silverbolt, which they're not bad. Not bad at all. And then the head, which, as I understand it, is pretty on point. So that's all right. And yeah, they only painted the visor, but honestly, I'd rather that than have them paint the visor and the face the same color and just have that nonsense that was going on with Nosecone and Strafe. But yeah, he's not bad. And from what I've seen and heard, he's actually pretty spot on for Scattershot, so that's good. He's just, you know, he's Silverbolt. Silverbolt cosplaying as Scattershot, more or less. But it's alright. I mean, he's fine. Definitely prefer the vehicle mode over the robot mode, but you know, what can you do? Alright, we are almost done. Last little bit. And here we have Scrounge and Cybex, and these look a lot better overall, I think, in robot mode. Well, Scrounge does. Cybex, it actually has less paint in robot mode than he does in vehicle mode. I mean, this is just that little bit on the face. That's it. He is a total afterthought. But, you know, it's okay. Because his whole thing is that he turns into a gun, so we'll just turn him into a gun, because that's really the best use for him anyway. So that, and push that up a little bit. I just like to leave his arms in like that, because I think it looks a little bit better. So there, now he's a gun. And now we can put him in Scrounge's hand. And that is not terrible looking. And Scrounge, again, he's Cosmos, but yellow. So yellow. And it's not bad. There's definitely more detail in robot mode, though. You've got like these lines on the shoulders, a little bit of the Autobot logo there. This all was, you know, visible before, and you could see those eyes. But, yeah, there's a little bit more to him. I still really like the detailing. I still really like the overall silhouette, you know, and shape of this guy. And honestly, I really like the head sculpt. I like this weird kind of Commander Cody Rocketeer kind of swept back crest dome head that he has going on. I really do like that. It's a shame that it's not painted, you know, like there's not more detail to him. There's not better paint across the figure just overall. And I would probably prefer a color other than yellow, but I do really like that head. It is a nice looking head. If it just didn't have the eyes poking out from the vehicle mode. Yeah, overall, Scrounge is a cool guy. I like Scrounge, despite him being a giant canary. Right, so that has been my look at the Combiner Wars Technobots with a couple of sporadically introduced Perfect Effect upgrade pieces here and there. Next time, we will be taking a look at Combine Mode, both stock Combine Mode and with the Perfect Effect upgrades, which I'm really looking forward to checking out because I think it all looks good. So, anyway, there's the team. Thank you everybody for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those three would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye. Except for you. You suck.